Hello, welcome to Vision in the Valley. I wanted to recap some of my dream of being in front of folks. And it could be I've had a dream where I'm in like an auditorium, like a college campus. Probably you're a professor or the teacher or the guest speaker, and then the classroom is kind of going up like an auditorium. The dream where I'm on a stage, like so. The interesting part about this dream, this was this year, some of this year and some of last year, but we had not opened up our new temple. We had not had our grand opening. And so I had not seen the inside of the church. And I had a dream. First, I was a part of the audience, but almost above the audience. And there was someone on the stage. And as I kind of levitated toward the stage, there was many people in the crowd, and when I went from being a part of the audience, or I should say above the audience, to actually being the person on the stage. And so I went from seeing it from that vantage point to seeing the crowd, and as I was in my own body looking out the crowd. And that kind of freaked me out. Even in my dream, I was aware of what was happening, and I was very comfortable, to be honest. When I was being introduced, like someone was, I couldn't recognize who the person was, but they were like greeting me or welcoming me onto the stage. And as I walked out, there was no sense of nervousness, because in my dreams I would have that. I can experience the nerves and the excitement and the sadness. All of that is what I feel in my dreams. So as I walked out, I didn't feel that. I felt confidence. There was no jitters or anything like that. And when I turned to the crowd in my comfort, I remember thinking to myself, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? I'm comfortable being here, but what am I supposed to say? And as soon as I did that, the stage started to separate. I ended up being on this like little piece of the stage. And so the next morning when I was talking to my friend Rona, I was just really reminded of Peter and his water walking experience, because I say I'm a water walker, and I also say I'm a mountain climber. And so that goes back to the valley, being in the valley and climbing mountains. But with Peter, when he had his eyes focused on the Lord, he did what other disciples couldn't do. He literally walked on water. But it was that moment where he started to become nervous with the sea and the wind, that he took his eyes off the Lord, and that's when he sank. And of course, we know that the Lord saved him. He was already there to save him, and he knew that he would do exactly that. So there was no hesitation to reach for him, because he was there. But I think about myself, like, as long as I am focused on what I'm supposed to do and stay true in that moment, there's a platform. But the moment I start to think about the outside world, things change. So not only did that stage disappear on me, it's happened to me twice, but also my daughter and I had gone into the building for the first time as a part of the grand opening, and I'm back talking about our new temple. I walked into the auditorium, the main church, right? And I'm looking like, wait a minute, our temple, the lights are down, and it's a different atmosphere, a different kind of experience. And it was an extraordinary feeling, because I remember thinking to myself, this cannot be, come on, Jesus, come on now, this cannot be what this dream was about, because these dreams happened well before the grand opening, well before we got our tickets, well before we set foot on the auditorium, all of this. So I'm thinking to myself, wow, could this be? And while we're walking, I'm just thinking and I'm praying, because I'm trying to get in alignment, but at the same time, it's blowing my mind. So I tell my daughter, like, this is the dream. This is what I was dreaming about. And she's looking at me, because by this time, she's certainly used to me saying something and something coming to pass. And so we're just looking at each other like, what? So I go on from that. And now the dream I've shared with you, it's in another episode. So I don't know how I have them ordered, but I'm also talking in front of a group of people, but instead of it being inside of a church, it's on the outside of a church. And I say all of these things now because I see the Lord is just unfolding something beautiful, something that in my wildest dreams I would have never thought was a part of what I was supposed to do. Or as far as leadership in a church or anything like that, it's never been the thing that was on my mind, or even thinking that I had a calling to do anything in particular. But I say all of this now because I got to tell you about this dream. So back in August, anywhere between August and October, I had a dream where I was in my home. By this time, I had started to have levitating dreams. So the first time it happened, it really, really freaked me out. I could feel the difference. And it's definitely something spiritual, but the Lord's he spoon feeds me, because giving me too much, I don't know about anybody else, but giving me too much too quickly will alarm me. So he loves on me so that he gives it to me in an amount that I can handle. And that's in another episode. So make sure you check that one out. But anyway, I'm at home and I'm levitating, and I see that the staircase is similar to that I have in my home. So that's how I know I'm at home. And the very first time this happened, I'm going over the staircase and I'm afraid. I'm afraid. And so because I'm afraid, I don't go any further. And I'm like, okay, Lord, take me, let's go. So I'm downstairs, and I'm in this space, and other people are around, and it reminded me of when you are hosting a party. So you're kind of catering to the people who are around you, and you're picking up cups and things like that. And that's what I saw myself doing. And then when I turned the corner to go back upstairs, someone in the hallway stopped me. And this guy, he stopped me, and he was stopping me to, I think, compliment me. So compliment me in the house, because I saw myself from the outside kind of nodding my head and, smiling like, okay, thank you. And then in that moment, that person zoomed out of focus, and I could hear my voice out loud and outside of my body. And I said to the guy, I said, do you hear that? That's my voice. That's my voice. And so I started to go up the stairs, because and in my dream, I'm thinking, oh, I must be on the radio, or maybe for some reason, I know I have a book or two in me. And so I was thinking that this could possibly be that I was reading a portion of my book in my dream. That's what I was thinking. So I'm trying to get up the stairs. And once I got up the stairs, the dream changed, and I'm in this place that looks like, I don't know, like a hotel or something. And I'm focused on this coffee table. There's a guy there. I don't know the guy. I don't remember even what we talked about, but the coffee table was so magnificent. It was like it had these intricate details. I can't explain it without telling you what I believe it to be, to have been representing. But at the moment, I didn't know. So when I woke up from my dream, I told my friend about it. And I said, Rona, I know that voice coming from upstairs was about me living upstairs. So I'm going to get the place downstairs. And this is something I've wanted to do from the very first day that I moved here, was to get the condo below me. I'm like, yeah, that's what it means. It's like my voice was upstairs, I was downstairs, the stairs, they match, and this, that, and the other. Again, this is like August, or between August and October. So in November, which you find in another episode, you hear me talking about how my neighbors bought a single family home, and the condo was now available. And so by December of 21, I was in it. I was on that second floor. So I'm like, wow, this is amazing. This is crazy. And no, I had no conversations with my neighbors before then about them moving during this time frame. We'd spoken about they were looking to get a single family home, but as a matter of fact, we talked about this in August. The last time we talked about it was in August, and they had not given me any heads up about closing or anything. So that was just the spirit. And I do have an episode that talks specifically about the moment I felt that the space was going to be up. It's actually, I think it's called The Move, if I didn't change the title by this point. But anyway, that whole experience was incredible to me because it was levitating. It was about the space downstairs. And when I heard my voice, that's the first time that had ever occurred to me. So now we're in January, and Pastor Glenn is talking in church about, being who God called you to be and write that book. So I'm like, yeah, I feel motivated. I feel like this is absolutely the time. What is that about? So on January 10th, I think I started to write in my journal, like, okay, this is going to be your 18,000th attempt at writing a book. So let's get to it. And I have so much to say. There's so many dreams to share. There's so many details of my past that when you have it laid out in front of you, it will blow your mind. Like, look at God working. I am literally a miracle in front of you. My life is, my victories are not just my life, my sister's life, my family's life. And to know that would mean you'd have to hear these details. Like, how do I get all of this information down? How do I share this with you? The Spirit just had out of nowhere the podcast. I'm like, podcast? Wait a minute, podcast? Like, oh my gosh, my voice speaking out loud and thinking, my God, you are so amazing that this thing has been sitting here waiting for me to do over all this time, and I'm just now getting to it, which is unbelievable. Like, how does this even happen? Do you know what that intricate woodwork was? It was literally the patterns where people put on their walls for buffers for sound when they're going to do like podcasts, and they have the squares crossing each other. That is literally what I saw in my dream, except that it was a table. And and I could zoom in on it. It's like I could zoom in on the details where it looked like it was woven. So if you think about how those patterns are, one going cross this way and the other one cross that way, that's the woven part. When I say I'm on fire and ready for this podcast to take off and do some amazing things, it's going to bless me, it's going to bless you. I feel it already. I have a friend at work who had mentioned that her sister has a podcast. I never asked what the podcast was about. And then I have a friend, my cousin told me about a mutual friend of ours that we grew up with that have like a comedy. They do comedy on this podcast. And he probably mentioned this to me months before this. That never occurred to me. So the Lord has been working this thing out with me for many, many years, which is amazing. So not only the dreams evolved into something still evolving, the spiritual growth that I've had, but even the interpretations of them, and then putting them and weaving them into something I can share with you, and hopefully that you'll be able to follow. That is a blessing in and of itself. So if I'm true to that, and if I use my voice to do that, and not let stagnation and depression or being overworked or being tired or having too many things on my mind, if those are the things that would cover my mouth, say something, you've been called to speak. And I'm hoping that we learn how to magnify and glorify God in a way that's so organic and so natural that it's a thing that just comes off your lips.
So I'm going to tell you what the Lord was telling me in those dreams. Speak, child.